from Los Angeles. This is the Special Report with Areva Martin.
Welcome to the Special Report, where justice, truth, and accountability take center stage. I'm your host, Areva Martin, and today we are honored to welcome a woman who has been on the front lines of the fight to uphold the rule of law and protect our democracy. From taking on some of the most powerful interests in the country to standing up for everyday New Yorkers, Attorney General Letitia James has become a force to be reckoned with, and she's here with us for an exclusive conversation. Thank you so much, Attorney General James, for joining us today. You indeed have become a nationally known figure for holding Donald Trump and his organizations accountable through your civil fraud, your historic, I should say, civil fraud case against him. But let's get to what's happening today. We know from the New York Times and other publications that you are on Donald Trump's adversary list and that he's, quote unquote, coming for you. The Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a criminal referral letter to the Department of Justice just last week saying that you falsified records about real estate properties you own and that you should be prosecuted for mortgage fraud. What do you say to those very serious allegations that Trump and team have lobbed against you, Attorney General?
So, Areva, it's great to see you, and it's an honor and a privilege to be on your podcast. And my response is, it's baseless. Listen, Donald Trump is on a revenge tour, and he finally got up to the J's. And so it's my time. And so the allegations are baseless. I'm not going to litigate them in the media. We will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate fashion. I just want all of you to know that I again, stand up each and every day to defend the rule of law and the Constitution and to do my job without fear and or without favor. We will continue to make sure that we protect vulnerable and marginalized populations here in the great state of New York and all individuals, obviously, who love liberty.
You know, and I completely understand. Thank you for that response. I know you can't litigate and shouldn't be litigating just these, as you call them, baseless charges against you. There's not even been any kind of formal announcement of charges against you. So I know it's, way too soon to talk about it, but it does seem like a tit for tat. So you prosecute civilly Donald Trump for financial fraud, essentially, get this historic $450 million judgment against him. And now, as you said, he gets to the J's on his adversary list and he comes after you for essentially some form of financial fraud. There has to be some irony in this for those that are watching this play out in real time.
So, yeah, you've got some of his followers, these MAGA Republicans, very conservative individuals who obviously have done a lot of digging into my background and have come up with, some baseless allegations. And again, it's in response to the fact that we secured a $454 million judgment against Donald Trump for exaggerating his assets because he inflated his assets to secure favorable insurance and mortgage terms. And now they want to turn the tide on me. And again, we will respond accordingly. And I want everyone to know that I took an oath to the Constitution, to the rule of law, to New Yorkers, and that's what I do each and every day.
And I think it's important for folks to know the charges are so baseless. These are allegations dating back decades ago in the early 1980s. And I am so honored and excited that you're going to fight these charges. Glad to hear that you plan to vigorously defend yourself against these baseless charges. But Attorney General James, we have to imagine that Donald Trump is doing this for a reason. Obviously, he hates you because you were so successful in your civil claim against him, but also to send a message to others that if you do try to hold Donald Trump accountable in the court of law, that you too could find yourself the subject of a criminal investigation and possibly a prosecution from his Department of Justice. Is that likely to have a chilling effect on other attorney generals throughout the country who may be looking at lawsuits against Donald Trump and his administration?
So I'm happy to be a part of a coalition of attorneys general who have been taking action against Donald Trump, all of his executive orders. These group of attorneys general span the nation. And prior to his election, we prepared for this moment. We analyzed Project 2025. We looked at jurisdiction. We looked at venue. We looked at standing. We looked at causes of action, and we were ready, which is why on day one, when he filed his first executive order challenging birthright citizenship, we were ready. And we've been ready ever since. And under my leadership, we have filed close to 12 lawsuits and filed a number of amicus briefs challenging this administration. So yes, it does have a chilling effect, not only on attorneys, but it has a chilling effect on a number of institutions. You've seen that Donald Trump has gone after law firms. He's gone after university. He's gone after colleges. He's gone after a journalist. He's gone after, not-for-profit. And it's, again, this chilling effect. It's an attempt to basically reorganize government. It's an attempt to consolidate power in the hands of one man. It's an attempt, again, to ignore the Constitution, to ignore the First Amendment, the right to free speech, the right to due process, and it ignores the fact that he does not have the right to basically write legislation by signing an executive order and or freezing funds for major organizations and agencies all throughout this country. That's why we are fighting back. And that's why I am on his enemies list. And it basically is a badge of honor, if you will, to know that I am standing up. I will not bow. I will not break. I will not bend. I will, again, march into this office with all of the individuals who stand by my side, all 800 attorneys, again, defending the Constitution, defending the rule of law, and standing up for New Yorkers and all individuals who believe in our system of government.
And thank you. I always call you all attorney generals with an S on generals, but it's attorneys, the S on attorneys, and the singular general. So I got to correct myself on that. But given that these executive orders are not law, correct, and are lawless in many cases, why do you think, Attorney General, we've seen major law firms, corporate law firms, some of the biggest in the world, some of them headquartered in New York, bend the knee, capitulate to Trump even before there's any judicial determination about these executive orders? Some of these law firms have billions of dollars in revenue, and you would think they would have the manpower as well as the resources to fight him.
Fear. He just invokes fear in the eyes of countless number of individuals. And that's why so many people have capitulated, and a lot of it is business decisions. Because again, these executive orders really do not have the force of law. And I wish more law firms and more individuals would understand that. And I wish they would act more like Harvard University as opposed to a school, obviously that's close and near to my heart, Columbia University. It's important that individuals band together, which is why we as Democratic attorneys general banded together in coalition and in coordination to respond to these attacks against immigrants, attacks against agencies, attacks against federal workers, attacks against our rights and our liberty, attacks against that which is foundational to our form of government.
Talk about some of the wins that the attorneys general around the country have had, because a lot of people feel so defeated in this moment. They feel like the courts aren't working. They feel like government isn't working. Their elected officials in Washington aren't working for them. But there have been some significant wins in federal court for attorneys general that have challenged some of these executive orders. Talk about some of those wins.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the first one was birthright citizenship, where we were able to get a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction. And that case, as you know, will be argued before the United States Supreme Court and will be argued by my colleagues, either in New Jersey and or in the state of Washington will argue that case. In addition to that, we were able to get a TRO and a PI against FEMA cuts, where we again sued the administration because they cut a significant number of FEMA cuts. We filed a lawsuit against Doge because they had access to the Treasury Department, where they access your personal information, your social security numbers, your addresses, and we were able again to get a TRO and a preliminary injunction. The dismantling of the Department of Education. We all know, when it comes to curriculum, when it comes to class size, that's usually falls to states. But when it comes to discrimination, when it comes to services for the disabled, that is a federal issue. And of course, we get a significant amount of federal funds. We were able to get a preliminary TRO and a preliminary injunction. NIH, National Institute of Health, agencies and institutes that are doing groundbreaking work to find cures to cancer and Parkinson's and heart disease. Again, another TRO, preliminary injunction. The dismantling of the Consumer Federal Protection Board. We were able again to get a TRO and a preliminary. I can go on and on and on. We've been winning, which is why he's coming after me. It's primarily New York and California, the most well-resourced offices attorneys general in the nation. And we tend to be the bookends because we are well-resourced. We tend to do most of the work. We tend to lead, and we tend to lead the other attorneys general again in litigating and in filing these complaints and filing these amicus briefs against this administration, which is hostile to government, hostile to individuals who don't believe in their agenda, and hostile to people of color, and particularly women who represent the vast majority of federal employees who they attempted to lay off.
Yeah, thank you for leading. And you're right, Rob Bonta, Attorney General for the state of California. I know he's your buddy. I know
that's my buddy.
Been working in concert. This tour, talk about this Democratic State Attorneys General tour. What's the mission behind it? And what are you hearing from folks on the ground when you go into these Democratic cities and state and gather thousands of people who are, one, happy to see you come and happy to see you standing up?
Well, some of these states aren't necessarily blue. Some of them are purple and or red. We had what we are calling them is impact hearings. Our first impact hearing was in Arizona, led by Attorney General Chris Mays. 500 people showed up. Then we went to Minnesota, where I attended with the Attorney General who you know, Keith Ellison. Then there was one held in Colorado, Phil Weiser. Hundreds of people showed up. Next will be the great state of New York. Well, I'm hosting a hearing where we hear from individuals, and their testimony basically provides us with affidavits, with declarations, which strengthen and support our complaints with respect to the actions being taken by the Trump administration and Doge in particular. Again, the chaos and confusion at Social Security agencies all across this nation. Here in the state of New York, they have closed 3 Social Security offices, primarily outside of Westchester. There have been 3 closed. We hear from individuals who've lost their jobs. We hear from veterans who rely upon government. We hear from law enforcement individuals who rely upon grants. We hear from institutes and colleges. It's really critically important that individuals tell their story. It's really critically important that, again, we include a lot of that in our complaint to substantiate the allegations included in our complaint as we seek relief for not only New York, but for all states and for all individuals who believe in our form of government, who believe in democracy, freedom, and the rule of law.
Well, we definitely want to make sure we do our part in making sure when these gatherings, these convenings are taking place in different states, that we help get the word out, because getting those people, having people show up, tell their stories, as you said, are critically important to these lawsuits. They get included in the fact part of the complaints that are filed. Declarations are obtained by individuals who have been aggrieved, which we know standing and demonstrating that, real people have been aggrieved by these policies are so critically important. And Attorney General, you mentioned Black women.
Yeah.
It is not lost on us that Donald Trump seems to have a real issue with powerful Black women who are not afraid to speak their truth, who stand in their truth, and who will call him out and hold him accountable. Do you think that the attacks against you, do you fall into that category of Black women, powerful Black women that he has targeted?
I'm a member of the 92%. I strongly stand with Divine Nine and with all of my sorority sisters. I represent the strength of individuals who've laid the groundwork for me to stand here before you today. I stand on their shoulders. And so many individuals who have gone through so many trials and tribulations as part of our history. And never did they bow, never did they break, and never did they bend, and never did they sit idly by and allow their rights to be trampled upon. I take my advice and my counsel and my belief in faith and my belief in this prayer that we all say that no weapon formed against me will prosper. So I stand with them. I stand and I think about them each and every day, all that they have gone through. And so, yes, it is something that I've taken into consideration, and countless number of others have taken into consideration. The fact that I am a woman of color, and he certainly, obviously, has a problem with powerful women standing up to him, speaking truth.
It has to wear on you. I know you are a pillar of strength. I know you are accustomed to the biggest and the most insidious fights there are in our legal system, but you're a woman, you're human, you're your daughter, you're an aunt, a cousin, a friend. So what do you do in this moment when literally your security is threatened? I know you've talked about death threats and vicious verbal attacks against you, online, social media attacks. How do you stay strong? How do you keep it all together? How do you just not, get under the covers and just say enough already?
There are days when I do get under the cover, but most of the time, I just rely upon my faith. My faith strengthens me each and every day. And so that is what keeps me going. And again, I just think about, all of the ancestors who have gone through so much more and who still stand. And so as a result of that, I will not be paralyzed by fear. And faith and fear cannot share the same space. And that's why I'm going to continue to do my job and continue to stand up for marginalized, vulnerable populations and stand up for the rule of law.
Well, talking about continuing to do your job, you have a critical reelection campaign coming up. And I imagine that you didn't imagine that in your reelection campaign, you would have to be taking on the leadership role that you are, fighting for our basic rights and this democracy against this hostile administration. But what can voters in the state of New York and literally those around the country that are watching you and the work that you do, what can we expect from you in a second term as Attorney General?
Well, most of the time individuals want to talk to me about Donald Trump and all that we are doing to defend our democracy. But the vast majority of my time is focused on issues such as, today we had a great victory where we saved this private high school from closing. And then we've saved a number of homeowners who were, the victims of this insidious crime called deed theft. Individuals who are equity rich but cash poor, and individuals basically prey upon them in these gentrifying communities and to try to steal their brownstones, which are now worth millions. And recovering the brownstones for their heirs is something that I'm so proud of. Tenants who are living in dilapidated conditions, conditions that threaten their safety. Again, going after bad landlords, that's a great accomplishment. Protecting consumers, consumers who oftentimes are victims of privacy breaches, or consumers who are victims to these high interest rates, or individuals who take out loans online and the interest rates are usurious, usury. Individuals who want reproductive care and are concerned, and oftentimes are referred to these crisis centers, which are not real reproductive centers in the state of New York. It's things like that that really concern me. Children who are poisoned by lead, going after individuals who sell fentanyl and cocaine off the streets, individuals who sell illegal guns, removing illegal guns. As of today, we have removed over 6,000 illegal guns off of the streets of New York State, working with agencies from law enforcement, from the FBI, and from the district attorney's offices. This is what I do on a daily basis. And it's unfortunate that I have to spend some of my time dealing with these illegal and unlawful and discriminatory executive orders which do not have the force of law. I would rather focus on consumer issues. I would rather focus on civil rights. I would rather focus on housing discrimination. I would rather focus on issues that individuals care about, economic issues, improving, again, their way of life, reducing the prices of goods and services here in the state of New York, concerned about our climate, concerned about all the pollution in our water, in our air, and making sure that we could bring enforcement actions subject to Clean Water Act and Clean Air Act. But here we are. And this is the moment that I find myself in. But I'm going to continue. And I'm going to use the powers of this office and every tool at my disposal to stand up for what is right. It's not about left or right. It's not about red or blue, Democrat or Republican. It's about doing what is right. And Donald Trump's investigation was a 2-year investigation, and it was based on a hearing. And it would be irresponsible of me to turn away from allegations of fraud, a pattern and practice of fraud. I had a duty and a responsibility to investigate it, and we uncovered what we uncovered. And again, it resulted in a judgment to the tune of $454 million and has put me on the enemies list.
So ordinarily, Attorney General James, a race for Attorney General in the state of New York would not impact people in California, Missouri, Texas, Florida, other parts of the country. But this race, your reelection campaign, feels like it has national implications. So how can people around the country who care about the work you're doing, the leadership role that you've taken in fighting for our democracy at the federal level, how can we help?
Well, clearly, I urge everyone to reach out, to Letitia James, to the office to support me. I urge everyone to continue to pray for me. I urge everyone to tell their friends and their neighbors in the state of New York about this baseless allegation. Let individuals know that next year there is a MAGA individual who is supported by Donald Trump and Elon Musk seeking to replace me in the office of the Attorney General simply because I did my job. I need individuals now more than ever to support me in next year's election. I need individuals right now to go online, to respond to these people who criticize me and attack me. I need people to rise up. This is the time to rise up, just as we did this last Saturday and a couple of Saturdays ago, and as we will do on May 1st. We've got to push back and let them know this is about right and wrong, and about our Constitution and our rule of law and our values as a community. And it's really critically important that individuals understand that all that I am doing is defending those who find themselves oftentimes ignored, and those who oftentimes find themselves locked out of the sunshine of opportunity. I want to provide them with access and opportunity.
Well, I just have to thank you so much for the legacy that you are leaving, for the example that you are setting as a civil rights lawyer myself, as a Harvard law graduate, as a mother of two Columbia Lions. I was sickened by what I saw with respect to Columbia, by some of the big law firms, some of the ones that I've actually, had some interaction with myself, and friends actually work at, to see those firms literally in some ways undermine everything that we were taught in law school as lawyers, the oath that we all took to stand up for the rule of law. So to have you in this role, standing up for the rule of law, showing young lawyers like my daughters and other young lawyers what it really means to stand up for the rule of law, and to do so even when it's not popular, even when you are attacked by arguably the most powerful elected official in this country, and maybe even in the world. So I just want you to know we see you, we appreciate you. Your work is not unnoticed. Your unwavering courage, your commitment to truth, and your dedication to marginalized people is perfectly aligned with everything that I do in my life and how I live as a civil rights lawyer and as an advocate for disabled people and people who are in underserved and under-resourced communities. So again, your leadership just reminds us that public service, when done with integrity, can truly be transformative. So again, just thank you. And to all my viewers, do what the Attorney General said. Reach out to her office, find a way to support her, find a way to stand up for our democracy, stand up for truth. It's so important in this moment that we all stay informed, that we pay attention, and that we support leaders like Attorney General James, who is leading with integrity and purpose, and who's not afraid of the bully, who is showing that the best way to confront a bully is to confront a bully. Again, so thank you so much, Attorney General James. This is Areva Martin, and this has been the Special Report. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and stay in this fight for justice.
Amen.
If you want more information about the Special Report, follow me across all social platforms at Areva Martin. Subscribe to my YouTube page and share the Special Report.
Calling all BIPOC college students, recent college graduates, and clinicians. Here's my story about CORE, a unique workforce development program that is changing lives. My brother is the most caring person you'll ever meet. With his autism diagnosis, my family had to fight to make sure that the resources he deserved were available. That's why my goal has always been to help children with developmental disabilities and give them chances my brother may have missed. So when I heard about the CORE Fellowship, I knew immediately it was for me. The fellowship opens doors for myself and others like me. They offer training, a stipend while you're learning, job placement, and they'll pay up to $10,000 of my student loan debt. The CORE Fellowship is going to allow me to achieve my life's purpose. They care about me, so I can care about others, like my brother. Visit the website to learn more about the CORE Fellowship. Discover your core passion, your power, and your purpose. Apply today.